where we explore cinema at its strangest, boldest, and most unforgettable. And this week, we're lapping up our journey through the wild frontier of weird westerns. All month long, we've seen how the western can be twisted, reimagined, and completely reinvented. And to close things out, we're going out with something truly one of a kind. Sukiyaki Western Django, directed by Takashi Miike. This film is a full-blown genre collision, a Japanese take on the spaghetti western, performed largely in English, infused with samurai storytelling, hyper-stylized violence, and Miike's signature chaotic energy, loosely inspired by the legendary tale of the Genpei War, and paying homage to Sergio Leone's Django. Sukiyaki Western Django throws everything into the mix: gunfighters, rival gangs, clans, even absurd humor and explosive action, all filtered through a completely unique cinematic lens. We'll be talking about how the film blends Eastern, West, and Western influences, whether its wild tone works or overwhelms, and why it might be one of the purest examples of what a weird Western can be. So load up, pack a sidearm, and get ready for a showdown that only Takashi Miike could deliver. This is the First Last podcast, and Weird Westerns rides off in the sunset with Sukiyaki Western Django. You lily-livered so-and-so.
Man, you nailed that. Great job. You nailed it perfectly while I was able to go do a little bit of thing. When we do the live thing, we have to set the show description and the title and then the thumbnail. That's not automatically done. So I asked Tom, hey, could you help me out? He said, yeah, sure. So here we are. I am ML and Tom, and this is the First Last Podcast, and this is a longer series. This is probably the longest series that we've carried on with, but we were having so much fun. But we'll get into what the hell they're talking about in a minute.
Yeah, and there's five weekends in March, so it kind of worked out for us.
That's right. That's right.
All under. Last year we did March Madness, and then we decided to bypass that and do Weird Westerns, which I think it worked out. I think we'll revisit March Madness at one year, but yeah. We are the First to Last Nerdom. You can find us at First Last Nerdom on the YouTubes. We've got plenty of videos to choose from. If you're into westerns, weird westerns specifically, we've got quite a few of them in the past few days that we covered live, and but we also cover sci-fi, horror, and the odd fantasy here and there. I also cover comic book reviews on my shorts, But yeah, you check out our shorts. Those seem to be somewhat popular. And then we also have our binge-worthy series where we talk about television series that we think you might enjoy as far as binging on. And we each bring one to the table and we discuss whether or not it's good. We also have Flipping the Pages, which covers books and comic books. Right now it's just all comic books. We may be doing a book here in the future.
Yes,
we all absolutely. And just quickly go over our social medias. I'm there on Reddit. I discuss our stuff on subreddits that will have us occasionally, and sometimes they'll delete us, sometimes they'll ban us. But hey, I think we got a pretty good traction with the in-betweeners. A lot of people were discussing us and talking with us, which we love. And also, I'm on First Last Nerdom there. So if you're coming over from there, hey, how you doing? Also, talk about our stuff on X under First Last Nerdom. I promote our stuff, and also I'll discuss little weird things that I find. I found this really weird band that's been going viral the past month. So if you're if you're interested into weird instrumental Quebec bands, that might be something you might want to check out. But I've talked long enough. Let's swing it over to Mike here.
Hey, thank you for covering me down. I really do appreciate, Tom. I am ML, the other side of the other half of the crazy nerddom sci-fi on this end. At Sophie King Jewish _. You will find me a man astride a donkey turned the wrong way on X. And you need to get our website back up. But something happened to it, and it kind of blew up, and I just haven't had time. But I digress. This month we're into the thick. Why is that even on there? Sukiyaki Western Django and Takashi Miike. We are not uninitiated. We have a very good understanding of this man's work, and we are fans. I am fan. I know you're a big fan. You've earned the right to be a fan because you followed him for decades, way before anybody knew who or what that was. But I had no clue this was out, and considering that I am a pretty good Quentin Tarantino fan, I pay attention to his written interviews and some of the other more things that aren't video or movies or whatever. Just kind of cool to you get into the genre of movies, and you're gonna bound to pick out your favorite people that have good opinions or good observations that you learn from, and I learned from that. This one, this is literally probably I would say we started strong, so to kind of go back and play the field a little bit to give this the proper attention it deserves here. This is the fifth one. I think this one goes up with against the good, the bad, and the weird for which one it could take the title. And we had really great ones from this genre that you wouldn't think that there would be so many for. And you know what? Here we are on number 5, right? And we didn't even talk about or even mention or bring up the fact that we covered the Westworld, which would clearly, you would drop that right in here. But yeah, I didn't realize this, but apparently there's like other lists that when I started to look at it, you see it more of it when you start to read it. But anyway, pulling it back to center. What was this one? How did you find this one? How did you discover this one? How did this one end up on our list? And we covered it, Tom.
Well, as you said, I've been a huge Miike fan. Yeah, I think I got on the radar with him with Audition. Like, I think most Americans that are into underground cinema picked up on Takashi at that point, because that was like a international big hit, which obviously we'll probably cover in the future here when we do like Japanese horror or something. But I was a huge fan of his, and I picked up some more of his movies and became obsessed with this guy. So I've seen quite a few of his movies. So as they come out, he like, especially during the 2000s, he was releasing like 5 or 6 movies a year. The guy's a madman as far as making movies. He does Yakuza movies. He does horror movies. He does family dramas, twisted family dramas. He does actually he did a family movie musical at one point with zombies. And so he's all over the place.
We will find a way to cover that one. I can tell you that much, because I like him and you like him as well, and he is so prolific. He is the definition of prolific. I mean, you have 100+ films that like when you go into it, and that's not just like you would expect that for like I don't know. Michael Douglas or somebody who's been tan hide and been done it a million times, but we have this. Yeah. I have mixed feelings on this because it's also I think you have to take very great care with how we hold this one. I can understand maybe a misunderstanding of what this is, and that would explain that 6 in the 10. I have some working theories as to why it maybe didn't pop up or as much. But I think that everything that was chosen on this, from the dialogue to the scenery to how they did things for a very specific reason. And I'm really curious to get into this because this is such a unique film, because it really is in a rock and a hard place, right? So it's got the Quentin Tarantino name brand. It's got a great friggin' Japanese director who has made his bones. He is so seasoned pro veteran. It's not even funny. Like, I mean, just for knowing how to make a film and just working in inside and outside of every angle. And then you have that powerhouse of Clinton with the high quality, and you get this thing that I could see where people kind of, they get this and they can kind of see that it's depth and it's quality and it's kind of, and it's a little, it does a lot of stuff. And that maybe they just don't quite know. I am still digesting it. I'm on the side of it being good, and I like it, but I need, this is one like where you got to watch it a few times because there is a lot, at least for me. I don't know where to start, but I guess I'll start with like kind of telling what the hell this thing is as you kind of teed up, and you get into it. There's two worlds here. Are you this one or are you that one? I don't know. What do you think? What are your where do you land with this? Like, I mean, is this up there with you, or had you seen this before now, or appreciated it, or all the above? I guess I'm so curious.
Yeah, well, I've always been a huge, well, not always, but a huge Miike fan, and then like I remember in 2003 when Kill Bill Volume 1 came out. I had just landed a DVD of one of Miike's movies, and I spent that weekend with the double feature of I went to the theater to see Kill Bill Volume 1, and then I followed it up with watching the Miike movie at night afterwards. And I was like, man, this is, the pinnacle of cinema. And then, a few years later, here's Sukiyaki Western Django. Here's Miike doing a Western with Tarantino, with a cameo of Tarantino in it. And I was like, perfect. And I was so overwhelmed with it. I went into work and was telling anybody that would listen about this movie about how great it was. And I remember, you may not remember this, but I did talk to you about it.
Okay.
But I think you were on a call or something, and I don't think you understood exactly what I was saying.
No,
and I was like, okay.
I don't necessarily remember that particular interaction, but I do remember being. I had just got into. I had just learned about Tarantino from like 2005 on, so it was still early, Mike, with the Tarantino. But I practically lived under a rock before then, right? But anyway, I knew this was coming out, and I knew that this was kind of like getting a little bit like where I don't remember. I do remember the thing. Django was something. There was like all kinds of things, but when you took me back with Kill Bill, I did not catch it, and I was not as refined, and I had a lot on my mind back. That was back. Fun fact. When Tom and I are talking about this is back when my oldest it was a baby, way back when. So a little bit ago, to say the least. But yeah, I wish I would see. This is the other thing too. I was poor. I mean, well, I wasn't poor, but I mean, I had. Well, we weren't necessarily making the top of the stack money for where we were at that time, because we were early career. But and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but. I remember I was working full time, and I was in the Guard, and I did that, and I think I was in college a little bit later on. At one point, I was maxed out, so I was my mine was probably other. But I do remember some. I wasn't around when this. I mean, I was, but I wasn't conscious of it. But you had seen this. I wish I would have known, and then I would, but I had no refined. My taste back then was shit, to be honest with you. Like I had shit taste for some things, but yeah, it's widened and matured over the time. Anyway, yammering on. I'll pass it back to you.
It kind of flew under the radar for most people. This movie wasn't a success. I don't even think it was a success in Japan. I think it. Didn't quite make its money back. So unfortunately, it's one of those movies. I think you kind of have to be in the know to understand it, and to be in the know, this is kind of like one of those movies where it kind of creates its own genre almost. It's so unique. If you want to get something like this movie, you kind of have to just watch this movie. There's not quite anything quite like that, even within the weird Western genre. The opening. So basically, it's about a nameless gunfighter comes into town, and there's these two rival clans or gangs. If we're talking. Westerns, and comes into Nevada, Utah, and which oddly looks Japanese. But yeah, it's a weird sort of if you're looking for a realistic Western, this is not your the one that you're gonna pick up to watch. It's over the top, it's ridiculous. There's some serious moments, but a lot of it's just very over the top and crazy, and it's definitely not based in reality. It's sort of a fantasy movie where this Japanese legend, spaghetti western, gets jammed together into this weird concoction that, for me, works gangbusters. This is sort of like right up my alley. I was just overwhelmed and excited when I watched this movie, and it just was so. The movie has this enthusiasm about it that if you're willing to feed into it and accept it, it just kind of overwhelms you, and it takes you on a ride. Now, it's not maybe the most perfect movie. Maybe it kind of drags a little bit here and there through the story, but when it hits, man.
Yeah, it does take its time. The pacing is so, and also kind of very interesting choices that didn't really impact the quality. It actually probably enhanced it when Quentin filmed this. We'll might get into a little bit later on, but you literally are walking into a war zone. You're walking into a war zone, and you don't know what's going on. You're in this conflict. You see it's some red and white things going on here. Oversaturated everything. Blood is very red and vibrant for a reason. There's this treasure that's out there. That, of course, there is, or riches or or implied treasure anyway.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Man with no name comes in. It's got the hallmarks of it. So this gunman, he's got to navigate the both clans, to recruit them to their side and manipulate them, and then the families don't, or the gangs, the red and the whites, they don't play. This is it's a religion to them at this point. Like this war is all encompassing between these two,
almost Shakespearean. Well, there is Shakespearean. There's I like how the one side of the clan is it's a mix of samurais with the old legend or history of the two warring clans, but it also has ties to the War of the Roses and with Shakespeare, and you have the one guy
that's too,
renaming himself Henry and quoting the Shakespearean play, and then on the other side, the other guy's quoting the samurai and teaching the way of the samurai. It shouldn't work, but it does work. It's just this beautiful mashup. You were talking about the beautiful colors. Yeah, it's very. One of the most beautiful Miike movies I've seen, where the attention to the landscape and the color palette is just all over the place. And the very beginning of it is very hyper-stylized with these painted mountains. And it kind of reminded me of the movie we discussed earlier this month, Black Tears of the Tiger, or Tears of the Black Tiger, with its sort of artificial kind of setting. But yeah, I don't know if Miike was inspired by that or not, but it really has that kind of flavor to it. And then Tarantino's kind of overacting, kind of chewing up the scenery, very intentional, but very fun as well. Because it's a ridiculous movie, so it doesn't require a refined acting. And you were talking about how it's done in English. Sort of, it's interesting because. Miike said that, even though, it's taking place in ancient Japan, and it's kind of a Japanese story, but he's kind of telling it through the lens of a spaghetti western, and he really couldn't see speaking ancient Japanese during this because it wouldn't quite work, and modern Japanese wouldn't really work. So English made perfect sense to him. But you have these actors. Most of the actors don't speak English, and then them trying to speak English, even with the help of English translators and consultants, doesn't always kind of play out. So even though it's in English, a lot of times it's best to watch this movie with subtitles.
Yeah,
but it strangely works after you get used to it. It weirdly works.
At first, there's probably a good quarter or third of the movie like where it was really bad. I mean, I don't know at what point you accept it. I think, but I can see though where the line readings are stilted. Some of them are just because that's as good as it's going to get. Even though they do a phenomenal, I'm not criticizing how they did it because they did the best they could, whatever. But I think that's the point. I think that's kind of it adds to it because it borrows from a lot of other movies, but it doesn't talk about it and it doesn't acknowledge it. It just kind of, if you get it, you get it. It passes through, and then it adds to the credibility of what this is trying to do with trying to be a grand familial epic, also spaghetti western. But the spaghetti western is why I think what they really did things to type. They wanted to. I don't know if this is true or not, but it seems like it would make sense. And how they did it, if they were to have done this in Japanese, I think that it would not have worked for what they were trying to do because they literally borrowed from the playbook of spaghetti westerns. The dubbing it was infamous in those days for how they did it. So I think they did it, and I think that if you would have done it with Japanese, it would have. I think it would have lost. That would have been lost on the audience. Whereas you have very clearly. Yeah. Non-English speaking, and they're doing these high, and they're not doing simple yes, no's, they're also not doing prose either, but they are, but if anybody knows, and I don't know who wrote what dialogue, but the dialogue was pretty good. Once you got used to what they were trying to do and you went with it. If you try to fight it, it's gonna stand out all the time. But at some point you do get used to it. It does work, and then you slide into it, and then it's okay. Then the other thing that kind of took me out was the sound design and some of the sound effects. But that's another issue. But that's a kind of a thing. But anyway,
yeah.
What'd you think?
Yeah. As far as the English language, it's kind of jarring at first, and then you kind of fall into it. You kind of get used to it, and then there's a sort of charm whenever they would say like an old Western phrase, like
right.
lily livered, having that come out of their mouth was kind of charming. But yeah, there's this unreal kind of feeling to it, and it kind of it does everything it can to kind of push the edge of reality, but then keeps you bolted into reality with say the over the top violence, some of the violence, and then there's the thing once he gets into town, he discovers this woman whose husband has been killed. She has a child, and her stepmother is there as well, and he kind of gets twisted into this family kind of dynamic, and she's sort of a tortured soul that's gone through the ringer in this movie. So wherever you'd get these flashbacks to her life, it kind of grounds the movie, but there's this hyper reality to it as well that just kind of keeps everything from being too heavy. You're getting kind of down at one point, but then you jump to the sheriff who talks to himself, right. And you have sort of these comedic moments that kind of balance out the movie in a weird way. And there's this beauty of darkness and fun that kind of twists in and out of this movie that shouldn't work, but does work if you're willing to kind of go along for the ride. And there's almost like Looney Tune aspects to it. There's a scene where the head guy of the Red Clan sees this big weapon that shows up, and he gotta knocks himself out, and there's almost like Tweety birds above his head or something. You imagine as he kind of falls from his horse, but yeah, there's this. Weird, and also I kind of liken it to Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell's Evil Dead movies. There's this sort of elasticity to human bodies. The sheriff is like almost like a Bruce Campbell type actor in this. He's getting bent over, twisted, and at one point he's being dragged by a horse, and he's kind of folded up at one point. There's some over the top. He gets shot, and he kind of crawls back up. And if I had a favorite actor or character in this movie, it has to be the sheriff, because he has sort of like the devil and the angel on each of his shoulders, and he kind of that inner monologue that we have where we talk about the good and the bad, the good angel and the bad angel talking it out on you. He kind of voices that out, and it's almost like he has like a split personality going on, and it's very funny and very charming, and I love that. Anytime he had a dialogue scene, I really got invested into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna try to Teru Yuki Teruki Kagawa as the sheriff. He's the comic MVP. You're right. He's this greasy, desperate, opportunist. He's just having the time of his life. But there are other characters who play they all kind of I don't know, it gets serious, but it also kind of backs away. It holds the audience at arm's length a little bit, and I think what reminds me of that is the fact that like the English, like that's designed to kind of, you want to get close, but you still want you over here, like not too close. I was gonna ask. These two, from the Tears of the Black Tiger, and then this one, they really dial into that hyper-stylized Western. I definitely got that. I gotta. Not that they're the same; they do it very differently. Where did you fall with like? Do you think that they could be compared in that arena, or do you think they're just completely different? And never mind the Western, the Western, weird thing. How would you rate that? How where's it come in for you on that?
With Black Tiger, very enjoyable movie. I think this one blends in everything a little bit better because there's you got the ridiculous, over the top action, humor, and then you also have this dark story about a woman losing her husband and the family being kind of torn apart, and that all kind of works together for me better than the sort of tortured tragic romance that takes place in Black Tiger. Maybe I just didn't buy in fully with that one. I did, even though I had criticisms, I really did enjoy it, and I enjoyed the beauty of it, and the gumption to get that thing made and do it the way they do. And that one did also have that over the top action and ridiculousness about it as well. I just think this one kind of blends it in a little bit better overall, whereas the other one, those parts were distinctly separate in how it was shot and how it was presented to you, whereas this one had a better way of blending all of that together for me. But I wouldn't contest someone that preferred the other one over this one.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. I think I agree with you in some parts of that. Like, I think that you're right. This one does the technicals so much better, right? The technicals and the execution are just better. They're just on a whole other level of professional. But I think the spirit of the stylized thing was a little bit deeper and more original in Black Tiger. I'm not saying it's not original here. It's just it's a more refined palette. Anyway, I enjoyed both like you did as well. But I think anyway, it's just kind of interesting because I never would have thought I would have been able to use Black Tiger as like a reference point for something else. So it was kind of that's another ulterior motive for Mike asking that question. But I did like this. Did you? I I've heard criticism that this should have been shorter, and I don't necessarily agree. What about the? I was going to ask you. Sorry, I just lost my my thing.
To talk on
go ahead, yeah.
the shortness or longness of this movie. Yeah, the American version is an hour and 39 minute, and then Miike cut it down to that. It was originally 2 hours long in the Japanese cut of it, and then I think I sent you the Amazon link. I do have the
yes, I do. Yeah.
The Blu-ray. I think it came out recently. There's only 3 left on Amazon. You could also get it on Orbit DVD. But this one has both cuts on it. They have the hour and 40 minute version and the 2 hour. I'd never seen the 2 hour version, so I did watch that. I did enjoy it. Again, like I said, it dragged at points, and so maybe if I rewatch the hour and 40 minute version, it maybe a little bit more better paced. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I think the original DVD I got back in the day was the hour and 40 minute version. It was one of the first steelbooks I got. But yeah, this is a. This also has the almost hour-long making of little documentary on it, and some deleted scenes as well. But yeah, I kind of cut you off there. What were you saying?
Oh no, I was. What we were talking about the shortness, and then I was going to ask about another aspect of it. Sorry, and then I completely lost my. Thing. Oh,
sorry, I threw you off there, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you find that there because of I sound conflicted about the length. It does drag a little bit too long in some places than I cared to, but that would probably be cured by a rewatch, like a deeper rewatch, like breaking it down, not just watching it all in one go. And I actually started to do that a little bit because there's just a lot there, and I want to give it justice to catch everything because it throws a lot of you. But I think if it also doesn't hold your hand either, too, right? So you got to be. I would definitely say that this. I would say that this is not a movie for a beginner. Not even a beginner for Quentin Tarantino or Takashi Miike. Not at all. I would say you should not watch this movie until you feel like you have a little bit more of a handle on. You just don't want to be. You don't want to go into this the first movie you see because you're not going to like it. It's not. If you're not into it in the first, that's the other thing too. This movie is very opinionated. I loved Tarantino's screen time. You know that 12 minutes. I loved it. But if you are not, if you're not on board for that in the first part of the movie, you're probably never going to get on board. And that's okay. I would just say that, and then the other thing that's probably working against it is you're probably going to get confused. There is you're going to get the wires crossed, mixed over, and it happened to me in Black Tiger. And I had to go back and rewatch it after the fact, and I appreciated it a lot more because I could focus on what was going on. But those are not big deals. There is a lot. There's the historical war. There's the Shakespeare thing going on. They got the Yojimbo, the plot thing going on there too. That's coming in and out. You have, like I said, I think that the other thing was like the sound effects, because there are parts of the movie like where it seemed like that was done very much on purpose, and I'm not quite sure why. It almost reminded me of the ASMR videos on YouTube, like where they just everything visually slows down or stops, and then you hear this click, 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 or whatever, and like that shit drives me up a wall. Like not it's not like a tick or like super annoying. It's just like, okay, I'm done with this. Like turn the volume down or mute it or whatever, break it up so that I don't have to hear it or listen to it or fast forward through it if it really is annoying me. But I found myself doing that more often than not, and I try not to do that. But this movie definitely got me to do that. So like, but that's Mike's weird whatever.
Yeah,
don't know.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't experience that, but yeah, maybe my sound isn't the best in the world either. But who knows? But yeah, I didn't have that particular thing about it. The one thing that I had with it is I did watch the 2-hour version on here, it didn't have English subtitles for that one, so I kind of struggled with that. Whereas I think the hour and 40-minute version does have subtitles. So if you do get the Blu-ray, definitely watch the hour and 40-minute version first. If you're an English speaker, and actually if you're so that you have the subtitles there to kind of help you along. And then with this movie. I kind of lost my train of thought there, but yeah, it's one of those movies where, it's sort of like I love that. It's kind of based off of the original Django movie as well. There's a little bit of that in there. I've never seen that, but I was reading where it does have that relation in there with a lot of parallels. There's a lot of interesting sort of Easter eggs in this movie. There's at one point you get to see the older Quentin Tarantino, and man, his wheelchair is I love that device. Yeah. That is worth watching that movie just to kind of check out that wheelchair. And I didn't see it, but someone said that there's a little duck on it that is from Death Proof in there. That's really? Kind of on the wheelchair, and his the grandmother in this movie, who you find out is battling Betty or Bitten. Her and him have a child, and that's the son that gets killed earlier in the movie, and his name is Akira, and that's a long-winded thing to say that there's a line in the movie where Quentin's character Ringo says that he's talking of his son Akira, and he says that he's always been a Japanese anime otaku, and the guy he's talking to was like, what? But that's a direct reference to Akira, the animated movie that we talked about a year or two ago. Which, again, there's all these sort of weird little references, and it wouldn't work in any other movie, but there's like this hyper reality that it just works.
This is another chapter in the book of Django. Like there's the whole coffin, and there's immense backstory and things that are directly explained if you connect this to the movie in a certain kind of way. Doesn't explain everything like that. Quentin doesn't work like that. Neither does the people who work with Quentin work like that either. It's never A to B, but this one, it's just interesting.
Yeah, it was sort of like...
It adds to the tapestry of this particular side.
Yeah, it's almost like after this movie, it inspired Tarantino to do westerns. He was like, he asked Miike to hold his beer, and he did Unchained Django, since that followed. But yeah, it's almost like they kind of handed the torch on to Tarantino to do his thing. So that would actually make an interesting double feature. Watch this and then Unchained Django. Or Django Unchained was it? Is that how? That's
right. Yeah, that sounds right. In some ways, I can understand why the average moviegoer, and why I say this is not for the average, foot traffic that would come in. You're not going to have a good time unless you just happen to luck out and you like movies a lot. But in a way, this is a movie about movies. About movies, and if you like that, and you like movies, it works. It will work for you.
Yeah, there's those bands where it's like musicians that are musicians is like the only the people that are really into music, that understand music. Well, I really understand this band. Whereas the Miike is one of those guys that either get or you don't get. He's a certain flavor. He's almost like punk when it comes to movie making. Like you said, you either get it or you don't. He's very unapologetic. He does what he does, and what he does is he does quite well. But you kind of have to be set up for it. It's like when we talked about Reflecting Skin. It's one of those movies where it doesn't come to you. You kind of have to come. You have to either meet it halfway or go all the way to it. But it really kind of connects with people that do understand it. But yeah, if you're not really in this world, you're not really accepting. It's not going to be your cup of tea. Definitely not.
Yeah, and this had a light budget for considering other movies, and that's what Takashi Miike, like that's probably a little bit more than that. But what is it, 3.8 or 6.5 million, something like that? And then, but it wasn't it withdrawn from it didn't come out around what is it, Canes, or the other one? I can't remember, but
it came out in 2007.
Yeah, but like hold on, let me find what I'm looking at. Well, in any case, the good God, I can't. Good God, I was just gonna. Well, never mind that. I'll look that up here. Apparently, I can't find it, but anyway, I don't know where I was going with that, but. Good grief! Park the car, Mike.
But yeah, as you kind of think about it, I love the action in the movie. It's very of a spaghetti western. There's a lot of fist flying, gun action. There's a little bit of sword play, which is kind of fun. But it's not your average Japanese action movie. There's very little wire fu. And the wire fu that you get is with the grandmother, where she kind of flies through the air a few times. But this movie is very kind of realistic, and it's kind of fist fights and gunfights. Although occasionally someone gets a hole blown through them, a la Looney Tunes style. But there's that's just sort of like the icing on the cake. And then there's also a scene where I'm kind of curious. I'd like to know the backstory of it, because it works so well, but it seems like it was sort of a fix that there's like a scene that could have been like a Jackie Chan style kind of action, where the gunman, he's trying to escape one of the gangs, and he whistles for his horse, and he jumps out a window to land on the horse. But how it's done is it's sort of like it kind of dials into where he's at. It's like and it kind of goes and kind of moves down to the horse. And so instead of like in one take where he jumps out of the horse and lands on the horse, and you see the whole thing in action, it kind of has this weird kind of cut to it, which maybe it was originally going to be that a one take, but it does do like a kind of has a cut in there, but it works. I kind of enjoyed how it plays out. But yeah, it almost feels like it was kind of a fix for something that didn't work on the day of the shoot.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I found what I was trying to find before, but it was the world premiere was at the 64th Venice Film Festival, September 5th, 2007, out of competition. So it was not in the competition. But that Venice slot gave it credibility. And then between 2006 and 2008, Takashi Miike directed at least 5 films, full films. For comparison, like Nolan does, he takes 3 years between films. And then I think Scorsese takes 5. So, you had Takashi Miike doing one every few months. So
yeah. That's what I said. It's kind of hard to keep up with his output, especially during the 2000s, because he was doing 4 to 6 movies a year. That was it's just insane, and each one of them's like in a different genre, a different type. He really kind of really challenges himself. He did say in an interview for this movie, he says that all of his movies are about the fear of death and finding reason for being, and then also maybe finding someone. So that his movies are kind of tied up in that, which I haven't kind of gone through to kind of analyze that, but that's kind of interesting, especially true to this movie. There's a lot about finding meaning for yourself. My favorite character is the sheriff, but if I had a second favorite, it would be the guy in charge of the Red Gang, the Genpei group, the Henry. He renames himself Henry during it. He's this guy that's obsessed with winning, but he keeps failing. There's a really tense scene that could have turned into a rape scene, but the woman actually beats him up. And it's very tense at one point, and then when she kind of takes over and starts like beating the crap out of him, you kind of there's almost like an audible release of okay, that's not going to happen. But then almost something not quite as bad, but bad happens later, when she escapes him and goes to the other side. It's sort of like a no-win situation for her. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I kind of like the tragic Shakespearean kind of guy that he is, and then there's like a redemption arc sort of like halfway through for him that ends badly for him. But yeah, he's another one of those fun characters that I think the one thing that you could say about this movie, it kind of has a ADHD as far as focus on one story element. It does jump around, and you do get kind of shuffled around, and you lose some of those kind of plot threads through the movie. You kind of wish that he followed up on some of those.
It's I would equate it to you are on a trip up a mountain, and it's not paved road. It's very bumpy. It's very jarring, and you get kind of taken out of it sometimes. But when you realize, when you get to the top and you look and see the beautiful scenery, it's worth it. It does. Again, this does not baby you, and I think that it does well to watch it a few times. I think that you can get the full pass of it the first time you get it, unless you're like operating at a higher wavelength and you're just like a film kind of person, and it just comes naturally. You're gonna love it, because it is kind of a capstone for like what a Western can be. Not stretching its genre, but it kind of proves the point that it can work Japanese, Italian, American. It's a good genre that doesn't necessarily have to be in the West, in the old West.
Yeah, and there's this interesting scene. You've got the still from where in the Genji gang, the White Clan. They're the guy, the lead guy is talking about the samurai and being present and ready for the sword, and he makes this really kind of interesting sort of speech, eloquent speech, and he ends it with him catching the sword, and he has one of his guys step in and try to do that. It's not going to end well, and he ends up with the sword in his head, and he's doing his thing above the sword. It's this grotesque scene that's funny as well, and it just kind of encapsulates what this movie is about. I mean, this is just way over the top. Doesn't always make sense, but there's a sort of this weird thing about this that just kind of keeps you going.
Yeah, it has really good visual design and philosophy. We didn't even talk about it, but like occasionally you'll see the vertical glyphs or I don't know. I'm not doing it right, but it's like the wood block print, like that wood block prints, like the you can see that even in the set design, like there are flat planes and there are bold outlines, and you see that saturation is unnatural. You know,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, the artist behind the great wave of Kingawa, like that that's the one, that wave one. That's what I'm talking about. Like when I say
Mm-hmm.
block,
Yeah.
wood block prints. So if you're out
Yeah.
there and you know what I'm talking about, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
But I got that sense of it too.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and this movie is a really beautifully shot. I love, a lot of Miike stuff. Even though he's making 6 movies a year, he's not really concerned with how it's filmed for a lot of the time. A lot of his stuff is like shot on video, yakuza, grimy and gritty sort of movie that doesn't benefit from high definition. But this movie, I was really happy to watch it in Blu-ray, and I almost wish there was a 4K of this to really bring out those vibrant colors and really give it even more definition. It would be lovely to see, but there's not very many of his works in 4K. I saw where Arrow's going to be releasing Audition in 4K in a few months, which is exciting. We'll look forward to seeing that. I was going to also say there's a kind of a dance scene in this movie, performed by the female protagonist in this movie. With Tarantino and Miike, you can't help but kind of compare. So I was kind of thinking of from Dusk Till Dawn, that dance scene, which is more of kind of a erotic sort of pole dancing scene where it plays in with Quentin's foot fetish, where he actually what's Selma Hayek's foot ends up in his mouth. It's very, 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 very on the nose, erotic. And I was watching, and this dance scene is much more subtle and very interpretive, and much more in line with what's the internal struggle that's going on within this woman. She has these hallucinations during it, where she sees her husband, and she went to Miike, the actress, and she said, are you looking? I see where there's a dance scene, and do you want me to make it more, kind of erotic pole dancing, or do you want it more subtle? And he said, yeah, I want you to do it more subtle, and really get into the psychology of the character. So it was sort of a collaboration between her and Miike, and basically she did the dance sequence, and she worked with Miike to get it right for both of them. And she said that they worked on into the morning, and almost all the crew was asleep at this point, where but they didn't stop until they got it right. So that was kind of interesting sort of comparison of the two. But yeah, it was much more in a movie that's so over the top and ridiculous. It was kind of interesting to see this kind of poignant sort of interpretive dance scene that with the music, sort of the tribal sort of I forget that instrument, the oboe or the didgeridoo, and then the drumming was very, very interesting.
yeah, it was well. It echoes a couple, different echoes of where it's at and what's going on with there's a homage to Western, the other layer visually, like where they do like the sheriff and the Indian garb and the Native American, and kind of like that, riding that line real hard on some, but it's stylized, and it makes it, and you buy it because of this ridiculously complex world and this war, even more ridiculous, like Hatfield and McCoy's kind of type cyclical thing that's had a backdrop of real life war, but it was based on history. But it just makes it more one. I was gonna go back to the box office. It was not. It was not a box office success, but that's okay,
No.
because like some of these things, like one thing, Takashi Miike didn't care. He's on to the next 5, right? So he got what he needed out of it, and it also, he didn't need it to be whatever. He's not that kind of a director. But it did get its second natural audience in streaming and home video, and that's like where you can find it here or there. if you knew about it. But it was. What would you think overall? Like, was there like a fault line for you? Did you enjoy this? Oh, and then I was going to ask you too, maybe how you thought this compared to the other weird westerns this month, where it felt for you anyway.
Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to say because yeah, there's a special place for Dust Devil, which shout out to that one we did last week. The director Richard Stanley, he actually liked my post for it on Facebook, so he's I don't know if he watched the video, but hey, thanks for noticing us. But in Bone Tomahawk is excellent. You've got the Tears of the Black Tiger, which was excellent, and the good, the bad, and the weird. All of them have their good points. All top tier movies. It's weird to how 3/5 of the movies were Asian. Just kind of landed that way. But I don't know. This movie, I was very energetic and hyped up after watching this movie.
Yeah.
It just really kind of speaks to me in a way that it kind of hits all of the things that I love. I love action. I like gore. I like I like the weird dramas. I like the ridiculous, over the topness of this movie. The humor works for me. It just kind of hits me in the right spots. So, is it the best movie of the five? Maybe not. But is it the one that I had the most fun with? Yes.
yeah. I'd say I had great fun watching this, and it's always good to see. I'm always a big, like I said, Quentin Tarantino fan. That kind of is a hint and a nod that I probably like it anyway. But between this and Bone Tomahawk, I really just enjoyed being able to just watch it and not have to focus on subtitles or what's going on or whatever. Not that's that, but obviously I'm not I'm not very you walk at your speed or whatever, I guess. But this one wasn't hard. But I will say the good, the bad, the ugly, or the weird. Excuse me, the weird was also fun too. That one was really fun. And there's just something about the way the Koreans know how to get in and out. And Takashi Miike, same thing for the Japanese. I mean, very efficient, but they also spend time where it's needed to build the story up, for you to care about the characters and the overall storylines, and like for you to really like flinch when you see it's not really a gross out, but with Takashi Miike, like it's not a baby, it's not gonna baby you either. So it's not. And I also like just they painted red with blood. That was a whole other thing too, which we didn't even really talk about. But like just how they use very bold, stylish choices in what they mean, and when they do it too is also interesting. I noticed too. Like I made a note about it, but it's a little bit more of a deeper note.
Yeah, I like how the movie is ridiculous and it's not subtle. It wears all of its influences on its sleeve, and anything any point that it tries to make, it makes you highly aware of the points. And so whenever there's a splash of color and you want to. The bad guy goes, I like our color on you, when he kills the lady's husband and the red splashes on her face. It's very a lot of the dialogue is very on the nose, but it works quite well for this movie.
They do that a few times too. Like I noticed that too, like when the splash of blood, like boom, you see the splatter starts anyway. It adds to it overall. I was going to say we didn't even talk about the score, but Koji Indo's fusion, that fusion score is it's a good. It works. It helps.
Yeah, and they I think they re-recorded the Django song from the original Django. The movie ends with it, Django. It's a very very memorable song there. But I was going to also say that this is such an interesting world. There's a lot of world building to it. You wouldn't think these classic ancient Japanese structures would be able to be retrofitted into into a Western setting, but it works. It just works, and I love the design of it. We did talk about the design of the movie. It's beautifully designed. The world makes sense. You almost want to live in this world, and the video game guy in me wants a video game set in this world. Maybe even tell the story. It just screams for a video game. Wouldn't you love to play that guy with his gun and his sword? Slashing and then shooting. It just makes sense. That kind of gives you echoes of Devil May Cry, maybe, but with the gun sword.
But yet it's its own story, though, too.
Right?
And you accept it as its own unique take on the story that is not, just like Corbucci's, which we have yet to do, but the original Django. Maybe we'll get to that point where we can cover it, but it has echoes of that too. But it's its own. Again, it's its own. It's like I said, it reads like one chapter. I'm sure that movie, I've never seen it. I'm sure that it has its own version of it. But then you have this one, it has its version of it, and then you have Tarantino's with his version. And nothing is in conflict, because they're just so uniquely their own works.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that just on the surface that Japanese movies and westerns, American westerns would have this connection, but there's always been a connection. You had the Seven Samurais and the Magnificent Seven. There's all these sort of parallels and adaptions that are easily to kind of translate one to one, and it just kind of goes back to the idea that there's only so many stories in the world, and there's all these universal truths and things that go on, these stories of struggle that can be adapted in so many different ways and in different cultures, and they all kind of make sense. There's like that universality of it, and it's just a wonderful to see, like, the American Western through the eyes of a spaghetti Western, through the eyes of a Japanese filmmaker. It's just so many layers upon layers, but it all kind of stays true to the center core of it.
Yeah, I was going to say the beginning has momentum. The middle stretch might lose people. It's not, but it still works. And then it really is worth it to pay off for the final towards the end. Like it does build, and I think it does. The ending is the payoff, and it is very good. I liked it. And I was gonna say too, closer to the end, I think, than the beginning here. Excuse me.
But yeah, as you kind of gather your thoughts, I was going to say. This movie is it stands out in the pantheon of Miike movies. I haven't seen them all. I've seen quite a few. I've seen at least 100, maybe if not more, of his movies. So but take that for whatever it is. But yeah, and the interesting thing on a lot of his movies that I've bought on DVD and on Blu-ray. He does have, there's usually a documentary. I love watching the documentaries because the documentaries are very Japanese, and they're produced in Japan, and they're very over dramatic. I love the way that they kind of do that with the very concerned narrator kind of going through, and he's going, and they're getting ready for the scene. Will they pull it off? And it's just kind of fun to watch that. But in a lot of those documentaries, Miike kind of looks at movies as doing a job, and a lot of it, when he's talking about the movie, it's very matter of fact and kind of almost, he's unassuming. He says, he's trying to do a good job, and just sort of kind of that workman's ethic to the movie, and not kind of overinflating what the movie is. He's very down to earth, and this is the only time I've ever seen in an interview after he finished filming that he said, "Oh, I think I've done something special," and he's just had this big smile on his face. You could tell that he really enjoyed making this movie, and not to say they didn't enjoy his other movies, but there seems like this really hit him in a way that really did something, or he really thought he said something with this one. So the fact that he says that this is something special, you should take note and maybe take a look at this movie if you haven't. If you're a Miike fan, that is.
I was going to say too that I was thinking about it while I was collecting my thoughts, and I was putting it all together for the Weird Western month, and I realized we've covered 5 different countries. From Dust Devil, Australia, to Bone Tomahawk, America, to Tears, Thailand, to South Korea, with the Weird, and then you had this one with Japan.
Yeah. Oh, you said Australia. It was South Africa. Right?
Excuse me, South Africa. Yeah, sorry.
For
right.
Dust Devil.
Right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. It was. Oh my God, I was so. Yeah. It's just, you're right. Not Australia, but nevertheless, you had this movie, which is kind of like the grand representation of you had Kurosawa, you had the spaghetti western Leone, and then you had like I said, the Django, Corbucci, and then Miike, and then Tarantino. So it is. This movie was a power packed, full of that. Just like the I think the hallmark of a weird western, I think, is the fact that it does 3 or more genres, if not more, or movies, that it all kind of fits and crams in there. And if it can carry it off it well, then you got something. You got a treat in store for you, like this one, because it's its own unique concept of that, which I love, which adds to its uniqueness, which you might not dig into, but that's okay. It's not for everyone. Why would it be? But
right.
Do you think that this movie is easier to admire than to love, or do you think it's easier to love than admire, or you're already probably in the tank for it?
Well, I think if this movie doesn't win you over, then it's not for you. It's I think it's loud, in your face, and if it may kind of overwhelm you, and you kind of push it away if it's not for you. So either it's one of those, either you love it or you hate it. You're not gonna be left cold by it. You're either going to react strongly to it, either for it or against it.
I was going to say, well, if you've made it this long, we would love it to hear what drop your Weird Western month ranking in the comments for what we've covered, or even suggest your own. You pick your own Weird Western. What would you consider Weird Western out there? We'd love to hear it.
Oh, and if you wanted to, if you're a physical media nerd like me, you could always get it on Blu-ray. I think there's DVDs out there as well if you're into DVDs. But if you're into streaming, it is also on Tubi, which we'll be promoting it on Tubi. I think Tubi has the hour and 40-minute version of it, so you could check that out.
Pluto TV free, Google Play, or available for rent on Google Play, Apple TV, Prime Video, and what the hell is MVD Marquee? That's the other one that I pulled up. This was the one that I said it was really good, 2020 version. But I think did we cover anything else, or we lose anything, or anything left on the table?
No, I think that covers it. If you're out there and we didn't cover your favorite Weird Western this month, let us know. Maybe we'll return to this. Like Mike said, there's more in this well than we thought, so it might be worth revisiting.
There really is. I mean, there's a lot. We've been hitting a lot of those lately that have you could easily do a whole other show on another aspect of it, but. I digress. I did enjoy this one, and this was like I said, it was easy to get into because it's English. You're kind of baffled by whatever else is going on. Well, then you should probably keep watching. Wait,
Yep.
baffled is fine. But I've been Mike.
Yep. And I'm Tom. And don't run. Face the world ahead of you. And all it takes. Yippee-ki-yay.